Shut your mouth, I just can't take it. Again and again and again and again. Hey, what's up? Hello. Welcome to my channel. How are you? I hope you're doing great. Today I wanted to talk about 25 books to read in 2025. But I want to be a little bit different because I see everyone is like in the year of reading their physical TBR and choosing books that they already have. But I'm not going past February. February. I'm not going past February with a physical TBR, y'all. I am down to 18 books right now. And I'm having a few more shipped in subscription boxes, so I'm giving myself grace and not saying January and saying February. But March 1st, I will only be reading books that I have just purchased because I will not have a physical TBR. Mark my words, hold me accountable in the comments. Anyways, let's blow this popsicle stand. So I did put in some books that are in my physical TBR in here, but what I tried to do was I picked anticipated releases, at least one for every month in the year. And then I scattered in a couple other books in there, you know, because it's only 12 months and I'm trying to get to 25 books. The first one is Adrift in Currents Clean and Clear by Seanan McGuire. So this came out January 8th. Right before I'm uploading this video, so it counts. Okay, anyways, this is a book 10 in the Wayward Children series. So Seanan McGuire writes this Wayward Children series. I just said that. Anyways, each of these books, it's about, like, you know, kids, they walk into portals and behind wardrobes and random stuff like that and end up in other worlds, and we hear that all the time. So in these books, those children, they end up at Eleanor West's home for wayward children, and they're like kind of, their parents like put them there to kind of get over the like, y'all are losing your marbles, you did not go to a real world, and they put them there to kind of like get treatment or whatever. But in reality, Eleanor West also was a kid who went to another world, and she's like, y'all can just wait here until you can go back to your world. So each of these follows different kid and like either their story back at Eleanor West or their story when they went through their door. In this book, Nadia is a kid who was born without an arm, and she never considered herself anything less than whole until her adoptive parents are like basically forcing her against her will to get a prosthetic arm. And so she kind of like walks away and is like, I hate that, and stumbles into the land beneath the lake. And that's what we got here. The next book is called Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I know y'all, but I love Ali Hazelwood. I have loved every book she's written, except Not in Love. I just liked that one. I didn't love it. Anyways, Deep End was previously listed as Wet on the interwebs, and it's since been changed, the title of the book. This is about Scarlett. She's a diver, and then Lucas is some other type of swimmer that I already forgot, and the two of them kind of fall together because a well-guarded secret gets out. They form like a situation to kind of like get together to help make the situation better. I'm not really sure how, and then they end up realizing that it may not be just a situation, it may be real. This comes out on February 4th, just in time to feel the feels of love. I'm excited. So for my March book, I picked Summer in the City by Alex Astor. In this one, this girl, Ellie, is an aspiring screenwriter, and she has to move back into New York City to pursue her dreams of screenwriting. So she's kind of like trying to push through in the city, like not really making ends meet and stuff like that. And she runs into her lover turned enemy, this guy that she like made out with randomly in a staircase. I think his name's Parker. And somehow she finds herself as his neighbor. So the problem that Ellie has is that she has writer's block when she gets this once in a lifetime opportunity. But once she runs into Parker, he kind of becomes her muse, and she's like, wait a minute, he might just be the golden ticket to getting everything I want and getting rid of this writer's block. So that's another romance book. I'm looking forward to that. That comes out on March 25th. And I was really trying hard not to put too many like very obvious big books in this list, but I have to include Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. I'm just so freaking excited for Hamish's story. So Sunrise on the Reaping is book 5 in the Hunger Games series, which is, I'm not going to go into it. I hope you know what Hunger Games is. If you don't, I'm sorry. But I was hoping it would be Hamish's story, and I was right. I would have thought that the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, like, we would have gone through Hamish's story first before President Snow, but that one was a really good one. Anyways, this comes out on March 18th. Yes, March 18th. So, March 19th, you know what I'll be doing. Then in April, I had to go with another big author. All of my like favorite big authors are having books this year, and it's just gonna be a great reading year for me. I just feel it in my soul. Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry is basically about a girl named Alice, and she and a guy named, oh no, I want to call him Parker, but that was the other book. His name is Hayden. Alice is just getting started in writing, and she's thinking she's about to get her big break. Hayden is an established author, and the two of them get this like once in a lifetime opportunity to go to the home of someone who has been MIA basically for a really long time, but is like super rich and like has a scandalous family, we'll say. So this person wants to hire someone to write her biography, and they are both kind of getting pieces of her story, but because of an NDA, they're not able to like talk to each other about the piece that they got. So basically it's just anyone's game to see who will get to write this biography. I think that the best part of this description is like the ending. I'm just going to read it to you because it was so good. She says, it's becoming abundantly clear that their story, just like the tale Margaret's spinning, could be a mystery, tragedy, or love ballad, depending on who's telling it. I'm eating it up, guys. And that comes out on April 22nd. Then in May, another big author, another fave of mine, the guy who got me into reading, Stephen King. So he is releasing Never Flinch on May 27th. This is a book about the Buckeye City Police Department. They receive a letter from like a random person threatening to kill 13 innocent people and one guilty person. So you have two perspectives here. One is like Detective Izzy Jane. Detective Izzy Jane is like trying to figure out what's going on with this threat, solve it before the people, you know, get unalived. And she hires Holly Gibney, who's a really well-known Stephen King character across a couple of books, including, I think, starting with Mr. Mercedes. And so she hires Holly Gibney, who's her friend, to help her solve that. And then the other perspective of it is Holly Gibney is hired as the bodyguard of this like pretty controversial women's rights activist named Kate McKay, and she's going on a tour and she just wants extra protection because she's very controversial. So this comes out on May 27th, and I'm so excited. So this has actually been a really big goal of mine for a while now. But since I'm finishing my physical TBR, I will have the opportunity this year, and that is I want to read every single Stephen King book in publication order. So I'll take the opportunity now to tell you about 2 other books that I'm really, really excited to read this year. Book number 7 is Fairy Tale by Stephen King. I don't know if I'll get this far because this one is really recent, but I'm gonna try my hardest. And Fairy Tale is essentially about this kid named Charlie. His mom died when he was young, and then his dad started drinking out of grief, and he kind of has like this really hard life, and then he finds out that I think the shed in the garden or something like that is a portal to a different world. And a friend of mine read this and she said she ate it up. So I'm excited to eat it up. And ooh, look, drawings. The next book is a date that I will never forget. And that is 11/22/63. This book also has already been released. It's not a new release. By Stephen King. Basically, this one is about some guy who time travels back in time to stop the assassination of JFK. And I've heard that this is like a mix of like different genres, sci-fi, romance. Like it's just fantabulous, and like a lot of people in 2024 said it was one of their favorite books. So we must increase that buzz. Does anyone ever remember that? Is it just me? Am I old? Right, the next book is called Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. This one's also coming out this year. So basically the description reads, they're 3 young women, their bodies planted in the same soil, their stories tangling like roots. One grows high and one grows deep and one grows wild, and all of them grow teeth. Which doesn't tell you much, but it's V.E. Schwab, and she's one of my favorite authors. So it's going on the list. And also, I did read a couple of like early reviews of this book, and I think it's about vampires. I'm sold. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like vampires are making a comeback slowly. I don't know. We'll see what happens. This comes out on June 10th, which is right around my birthday. I'm excited. Book 10 is Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. I haven't actually ever read a Holly Jackson book, but I've heard good things, and I'm really interested in getting through like A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, the entire series. And then this one, Not Quite Dead Yet, is basically about this guy named Jet Mason, and in 7 days, he's going to be unalive. Basically, what happens is, Jet is a girl. Whoops. Jet's the daughter of one of the wealthiest families in Vermont, and she's very much like, I'm young, I got time, But all of a sudden, she gets attacked and she has some kind of traumatic brain injury. And she's basically told, girl, you got 7 days to live. And she's determined to spend those 7 days figuring out who basically unalived her. And this comes out on July 22nd. I'm very excited. Next, book 11 is Blood Moon by someone named Brittany S. Lewis. I've never actually read anything by this author, but I thought the description of this book was giving Twilight vibes, and I read Twilight this year, so I was feeling like I needed to read it. Basically, there's this legend in Mira's hometown that says that werewolves came into the town to protect humans from vampires. Hence the Twilight reference. Anyways, Mira's a freshman in college and she meets this boy. His name is Julian. The references continue. And he is just like very mysterious. He has like these golden eyes. It's giving he may be a werewolf. It doesn't say that in the description. I'm just speculating. And basically he's just like super cold to Mira and she doesn't know why. It's giving she's part of a rival family. And she doesn't know why and he won't tell her why. That's the tea. And this book comes out on August 12th. speaking of 12s, book 12 is The Things Gods Break by Abigail Owen. This is book 2 to The Games Gods Play. This is a series called The Crucible. So basically, The Crucible is a game that the Greek gods play where they select a human champion, and this champion represents them in the Crucible game. And whichever human wins, the god who chose that champion gets to rule Olympus for the next whatever number of years. And every year, all the gods play except for Hades. But this year, all of a sudden, Hades chooses a champion, and we follow her through the Crucible games. So basically, I don't want to give anything away from book 1, but book 2 is the continuation of that series. And I'm really excited. It comes out on September 16th. I think it goes without saying, but I really enjoyed book 1. So I'm excited for book 2. I'm excited for all of these books. How many times have I said the word excited in this video? I'm excited. Excited in this. Freaking excited. 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 Very excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. Book 13 is called Savage Blooms by S.T. Gibson. I've only ever read one S.T. Gibson book, and I think it was A Dowry of Blood. I loved that book. I know I'm not sure about the title, but I'm pretty sure that's the title. The book was really good, and I loved the writing style, so I'm hoping that this one is just as good. This one follows Adam, who's been in love with his best friend, Nicola, since college. Basically, he invites her to go on a trip to find some cave in his grandfather's like bedtime stories that he heard or whatever. So they go on this trip to Scotland, and while they're there, they encounter this like storm, and they get stuck under the mercy of this eccentric person named Eileen. And it just says that they get immersed into her world of mind games, kink, and ancient enchantment. I have no idea what that means, but I'm looking forward to finding out on October 9th. All right, we're going to speed this up because I've been talking for a long time and we're not even like halfway through. Book 14 is The Last Wish of Bristol Keats by Mary E. Pearson. This is book 2 to The Courting of Bristol Keats, which I'm going to count as book 15 because I have not read this yet. I'm right in the middle of it. And that means that I want to get through it this year. It's one of the first books I picked up in 2025, so I'm really excited. Also, this edition is like freaking beautiful. Okay, she's subtle, she's very demure, very mindful, and beautiful. The Courting of Bristol Keats, basically Bristol wants to find her missing father, and so she kind of stumbles into the world of the Fae, Elfame, and she meets this guy named Tigan, and she kind of teams up with Tigan to find her dad, not knowing that Tigan may not be the best person to find her dad. It might not be best if he finds him. I confused myself. Tigan plus dad equals no bueno is what I'm trying to say. So I want to read both of these. The Last Wish of Bristol Keats comes out on November 13th. And then the last book that is an anticipated release comes out in December. It's A Whisper of Poison by Jess Lowry. Basically, this says very little in the description, but usually you don't get a lot of information about books that are coming out like so late in the year. A Whisper of Poison just says that it's John Wick meets The Giver in this post-apocalyptic teen survival young adult novel. Let's hope it's good. It comes out on December 2nd. Then books 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21, and 22. It's an 8-book series. I would like to finish The Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. I'm choosing not to cheat because I need to prioritize these books. I basically said I was going to read this series in 2024, and I said I was going to pick up one per month until I finished, and I picked up numbers 1 and 2 and then just never continued. The Assassin's Blade is technically a prequel, like some prequel stories. I know this is controversial, but I couldn't decide who to listen to in terms of when to read this book, because a lot of people are like, you should read it first, you should read it third, you should read it fourth. I'm going to read it third because that is the publication order. And that will settle that matter. And I'm so sorry for all the people that are going to be upset by this. But I really do hope to read the Throne of Glass series. This is basically a series that follows Selena Sardothian, who is a Sardothian. Why did I say her name like that? Selena basically is an assassin. And she gets imprisoned, and then she gets out, and then in Throne of Glass, which is the first book, she kind of goes through a series of challenges against other assassins, thieves, criminals, etc., to become the king's champion. And so the whole series kind of just follows her like journey, like kind of working against this like really corrupt king, whatever. And there's a little bit of romance. It's high fantasy. I'm hearing that the spice level is super low. There wasn't any in books 1 or 2. I'm really excited about that. Book 23, I'm all about finishing series this year, is Daisy Hates by Jessa Hastings. This is book 2 in the Magnolia Park series. And that is essentially a book about BJ Ballantyne and Magnolia Parks. Well, I was going to say I forgot her name. It's literally the title of the book. BJ and Magnolia basically are like two rich socialites in London, and they have the most toxic relationship. They're in like this super horrible cycle of just like bad coping mechanisms, but they always end up coming back to each other. And then Daisy Hates is a character that makes an appearance in the Magnolia Parks books. So the second book is, I'm assuming, about her. It seems like the books alternate, like one about Magnolia, one about Daisy. So the next one is like another Magnolia Parks book. But I didn't include the other 3 books in the series because I'm going to see how I enjoy this one before I decide if I'm going to finish the entire series. Although I really, really enjoyed Magnolia Parks. I gave it 5 stars. So I'm hoping that I will really enjoy this one and want to read the rest of the series. Book 24 is a book that I've had on my TBR for I think like 3 years now, and I never get it read. But if I'm going to read 100% of my physical TBR, it has to get read. Also, I am really interested in reading this. It's just the size that freaks me out. It's very large. But this is Grimm's Complete Fairy Tales. So basically the Brothers Grimm wrote a lot of popular fairy tales like Little Red Riding Hood, Sleeping Beauty, so Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, Cinderella, Hansel and Gretel, Rapunzel, Rumpelstiltskin. Yeah, all those mother flowers were written by the Brothers Grimm. So this is a complete collection of all of their fairy tales. Many of them not known, but some very well known, and I'm really excited. I heard that some of these are way darker than what you would think, and I have read a couple in the past. I read The Little Mermaid just this past year, and that was definitely a shock. So I'm excited to read this at some point. It is a chunky monkey and it does scare me, but I am excited for it. And last, certainly not least, I have The Blood Orchid by Kylie Lee Baker. This book came out in October of 2024, but it's book 2 to The Scarlet Alchemist. And it's so interesting because I got The Scarlet Alchemist in a book subscription box, And I read the description and I was like, this doesn't sound like it's up my alley. I don't think I'm gonna read it. And right before I was about to give the book away to someone who wanted to read it, I said, let me just open it and give it a chance. I don't know why. And then it ended up being like a really like pretty high up there of one of my like fave books of last year. I gave it like a 4.5 stars. The Scarlet Alchemist is basically about this girl. She's an alchemist. She does like illegal alchemy to bring the people that have been unalived back to life, and she uses that to make money because she lives in a pretty impoverished town. But then she gets the opportunity to compete to be the Empress's alchemist, and she goes and she kind of has to go through all these trials, and so you get to see the trials, but throughout it she's kind of realizing that things are not like what they seem in the palace, and she's also going through a lot of like discrimination because of where she's from. And the book just has a lot of depth, and it is very interesting, especially when we're going through kind of like the trials and tribulations. And I am really excited to get to book 2. I didn't read it in October because I had a special edition of the first one, and so obviously the Blood Orchid has to match. They're a set, you know? But I'm hoping to get to it in 2025. I think my special edition is coming this month, if I'm not mistaken. And with that, that's all the books. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button. If you made it this far, leave a rabbit emoji. Whoops, camera died, but leave a rabbit emoji in honor of Waffle, who's trying to get in the video the entire time. If you enjoyed, hit that like button. And if you want to join the family, hit that subscribe button. I'll see y'all when I see you next. Bye. I'm feeling like a superstar with this ring light. Okay, somebody please sit me down. Broccoli, celery, gotta be VeggieTales.